This pedal sounds like Dookie. Or does it? First guitar was a 96 Les Paul Studio using the left-ish side of that blend knob. And then I pushed it a little more to the right side and I brought out a Charvel SoCal set to the bridge pickup. Let's get right to it. This is a dirt pedal, and as you'd expect from a dirt pedal, it's got a gain knob. And to help us shape that sound, we've also got a tone knob. And right here in the middle, there's a scoop switch, which does kind of a reverse tube screamer EQ kind of thing. It scoops out some of those middle frequencies, if you're into that sort of thing. On the bottom left corner, we've got the blend knob, and that's where this gets really interesting. If you take a look at Billy Joe Armstrong's equipment rack today, you'll find two modified Marshall Super Lead 100 reissues. They're named Pete and Meat. Pete's got the Bradshaw gain mod, also known as the Dookie mod, and Meat has an extra preamp tube, as well as some other modifications for even more gain. Pete was used mostly on the Dookie album, Meat on Insomniac. And on the albums and tours that followed, they used both. And that's kind of the idea here. You get to mix and match Pete and Meat. That sounds kind of wrong, doesn't it? Anyway, we had a little discussion on the YouTube channel last week about stereo and mono and real amps and amp sims. For this, I'm definitely using a real amp. We're going through my Rivera Venus 6. This is a 6V6 amp, and I've got it set to a fairly cleanish setting. Let's start out with this blend knob turned to the left. That's Pete, that's Dookie. And then we'll turn it to the right to find out what Meat sounds like. And then we've got all this room in the middle to experiment with. Obviously, there's more to Green Day than just slamming power chords and muted string percussive hits, but this pedal is really focused on that high-energy, relentless guitar sound. Picture it. Saugerties, New York, 1994. A muddy teenager throws mud at an already muddy stage. A lot of Green Day's sound is based around that intensity, no matter what amp he's playing. Just look at the way he attacks those strings, and this pedal is made for that. This whole gain knob is crunch. I'd say there's little need to go past noon or 1 o'clock on here. In fact, even with the gain all the way down and my guitar's volume knobs basically buried, we're still getting distortion. We've also got these two internal trim pots which adjust the crunch gain and crunch volume. So that's an option if you want to adjust the mix just a little bit further. That's a really nice feature to have, especially if you're into blending the modes here and you want one to come out just a little bit more or less in the mix. I'd say this reminds me of a couple of other amp in a box style pedals, like the EVH 5150 pedal, or the Friedman BEOD, or the Menatone King of the Britons. These are all the exact opposite of transparent overdrives. They're more like opaque overrides. See what I did there? I also think it's really interesting that we have a blend knob on here with two different sounds. Sometimes you'll see a clean blend knob, like on the Voodoo Labs Sparkle Drive here. That lets you keep some of the articulation and punch and dynamics as you add in the overdrive. You just don't see a lot of A to B blend knobs. And that's actually kind of important when you're chasing that sound that you hear on a studio album, because a lot of times that guitar track that you're chasing is actually like 6 or 8 or more guitars stacked. I just recently watched that Butch Vig video about the recording of Nirvana's Nevermind, and they stacked guitars on that album like crazy. That's something that I always wrestle with in my demo jams here. There's this big temptation to double and quadruple up those guitar tracks, but then it's not really a good representation of what the pedal sounds like. So I try to strike a happy balance so you can get the main idea, even if it's a little raw and unproduced. Now, onto the inside of the pedal. If we go in here, you'll see there's a lot going on. This is a seriously complex pedal, and I wasn't able to find a schematic of it anywhere. I don't think it's based on anything else. I could be wrong there. All right, so the DD25 might not be based on anything else, but it kind of looks like the FOD is the non-Green Day version of the Green Day pedal. There's a couple of amplifier chips. There's also 2 charge pumps on here. That's pretty interesting. And before we go topside again, there are 2 more trim pots in here. And these are the little tiny surface level ones. They're not labeled, they're not mentioned in the dock, and I have no method of calibrating them, so I'm just gonna leave them be. This is the first version of the pedal, although on the board it says Rev B. I'm not sure what's going on there. There are subsequent versions of this pedal with different faces. I'm not sure if there's any circuit or sound difference between them, but this one with the people down below and the bad year blimp up top, this is the one that's a little harder to find. So as much fun as I've had playing with this, it's going to go back into the collection next to all of my other priceless rare pedals. I expect this to be a somewhat polarizing video. I'm sure by now a few people have said their piece and then noped out. Whether you're a fan or not, I'm just here showing pedals that I think you might find interesting. And you don't have to love something to find it interesting. We're just out here having fun. I'm having fun. I hope you are too. If you are, please make sure you're subscribed. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one.